Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, Joyce has recently explained that the fight with him and Oleksandr Usyk looks like it will take place in April for the interim WBO World Championship. Now, in that interview with BT Sports, one interesting thing he also said is that that fight will be for the interim championship, but then, after the two big guys fight, AJ and Fury, the winner will obviously have the chance to hold that WBO world title, but then the winner of Usyk versus Joyce will be instated as a full world champion and no longer interim. So that was something that was an idea for Eddie Hearn to do. He wanted to make sure that that title was on the line, and even if they had to vacate it after winning it the day after, then that would happen so that they could make sure it was undisputed. And considering what Joyce has explained, that seems like it will happen that way. Now, April is quite a quick turnaround from now, but I would imagine Oleksandr Usyk and Joyce know much more than what we do. So if they're saying that the fight is almost done and likely to be announced for April, then this has been in the making for a couple of weeks, meaning they both will be training because April is rapidly approaching. Now, with regards to fans being there, I would imagine at the moment it would be either a limited crowd or just behind closed doors. Unless they do take it somewhere else. I would imagine it would be in the UK because obviously Joyce is a British fighter. He likes to fight in the UK. I don't think he's fought anywhere else during his pro career. And Oleksandr Usyk, he's built quite a good following in the UK. His last fight against Derek Chisora in the UK. But again, that was behind closed doors. At the moment, with regards to fans, 2 months away, we can't really tell if there will be or whether they won't be. So hopefully there will be a few, but at the moment, it's behind closed doors. It's just a big fight that will happen before the undisputed fight between AJ and Fury. It will be for the interim championship, but then the winner will likely be upgraded after the undisputed fight. I believe that this is a fair way to do it. Obviously, Usyk has waited for his opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua for that title when AJ went and fought Kubrat Pulev, because Anthony Joshua was in a difficult position. He had two mandatories at the same time. If he would have fought Usyk, he would have had to vacate the IBF because they were going to ensure Pulev had his opportunity. So Usyk gave Anthony Joshua the opportunity to fight for that IBF title and defend it against Pulev by fighting Derek Chisora in the interim and waiting for his opportunity. This time around, he wants his title opportunity. Why wouldn't he? And this time he will, because he will be fighting Joyce instead for the interim championship, then hopefully he gets upgraded to the full champion after. There were talks of step-aside money and perhaps even vacating that title, but Undisputed is a very important fight, and the importance of that does dictate the fact that all of the titles should be on the line in this contest. That is why they have fought so hard to ensure that that happens, and I mean, they have found a way around it. Eddie Hearn said there was a plan of attack, which was, there was either 3 steps, and one of them was go to the WBO and ask for an exception. If that were to fail, then they would go to Oleksandr Usyk and ask him to step aside and offer him some money. Again, if that does not happen, then they would vacate the belt. So it seems like they were always going to fight Tyson Fury, no matter what happened. That WBO situation was never going to stop it. They were going to ensure that it goes ahead no matter what. But luckily, at the first hurdle, going to the WBO seemed to work, because then Alexander Krassyuk, co-promoter of Oleksandr Usyk, explained the WBO had contacted him and Usyk, explaining they are going to consider granting this fight to Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury for the WBO title on the line also. They were going to sanction it, and considering that, Usyk needs to have his own options. He needs to have his own opportunity to fight for a world title, because that is something that has been guaranteed in the rules of that governing body. Now, I know that we could say that Oleksandr Usyk has only been a heavyweight for 2 fights, even though he's been up there around 2 years now, or maybe just a bit more than that, and had 2 fights. And then there's someone like Dillian Whyte, who has continuously faced top 10 opponents to try and get a world title opportunity, but that hasn't happened. Now, of course, there is this kind of loophole, I guess you could say, in some ways. I mean, it is rules that have been there for a while, but there is this situation in the WBO where if you are champion in a lower weight class and move up, you automatically become mandatory to the champion in the higher weight class. That is what has happened with Oleksandr Usyk, and the reason behind him getting a world title opportunity. Then there is someone like Dillian Whyte who continuously faces these top 10 challengers but still doesn't get an opportunity. But we see this many times in boxing anyway. There seems to be these guys who aren't necessarily at that level. I'm not saying Usyk isn't, but I'm saying someone like, say, Anthony Yildirim. No offense intended, but he's had a world title opportunity against Anthony Dirrell. He lost that fight, then he gets another world title opportunity against Canelo of all people. I mean, you just don't see the logic there. There are other fighters who deserve an opportunity more so than him, but still, that seems to be what happens. Then there are fighters like, say, John Ryder, who doesn't get the same kind of opportunities, especially after his fight with Callum Smith that many thought he won. Wouldn't you think that perhaps a rematch is in order for John Ryder, considering he came at so close and in the eyes of many, won the fight, but he doesn't get a rematch? Then Anthony Yildirim loses against Anthony Dirrell, but then immediately gets another fight at that WBC World Championship at Canelo. Just doesn't really make sense. That seems to happen quite a bit, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily happened with Oleksandr Usyk and Dillian Whyte. Usyk does deserve his opportunity, but there is still Dillian Whyte there that hasn't had an opportunity in his career, and it's hard to justify that considering what he's done in the sport of boxing and the fighters he has faced. If he beats Alexander Povetkin, then a world title opportunity is deserved to him more than anyone else in the heavyweight division. Having said that, I do believe that Joe Joyce does deserve a world title opportunity after taking the fight with Daniel Dubois and winning. He's had some good wins on his resume, so he does deserve to get that chance at Oleksandr Usyk in a vacant world title fight. So it is a good opportunity for Joe Joyce to finally win a world championship, and he's come through the right way. He's been built the right way as well, having the correct fights at the right time. That is extremely important when fighting at this kind of level. I mean, the Brian Jennings fight came at the right time. The Bermane Stiverne fight came at the right time. Dubois as well. Perfect timing. That is some good management from Sam Jones as well. So he's been built the right way. And the next fight for him is Oleksandr Usyk. There are no other fights out there. So it's worked out really well for Joe Joyce, especially someone who's wanted to be fast-tracked and get there quite quickly, because he didn't necessarily need to be built like some other prospect in the sport of boxing going over to the pro game, because he has a wealth of experience going over to that pro game. So he's got this amateur background at the World Boxing Series as well. That has prepared him. His pro debut was against Ian Lewison, who's a fringe British level fighter at that point when he fought him. So he's come the right way, and this has worked out brilliantly for Joe Joyce. He needed a world title opportunity within the next couple of years, and he's got it, especially with Undisputed happening as well, and the belts probably being tied up for the majority of 2021, and obviously the belts will be fought for by mandatory challenges and other challenges in 2022, as perhaps they get separated, but that will be the middle of 2022, which is a time lost again in the career of Joe Joyce. He does need to be fast-tracked, he does need to get these opportunities as soon as possible. He is lucky that he's in this position. Actually, no, it's not luck, I don't want to call it luck. He took that Daniel Dubois fight, he took a chance, and that was a big risk for Joe Joyce, because many said that he was going to get knocked out, or just battered all around the ring for 12 rounds and lose that fight against Dubois. Look what he done in the fight. He conclusively outboxed him and outsmarted him using just a jab, and obviously he started mixing it up later in the fight as Dubois got tired and he could land those blows, because he's not necessarily as fast as Daniel Dubois, but he fought the right fight and he knew how to beat him. But he is in the position to fight for a world championship next because he took those risks that he didn't need to take. He could have gone a different route, but he took the risk and it paid off, which is a great example to send it to other boxers, that if you take those tough fights at the right time and win, then look at the rewards you can get. That's a great example to set for anyone really. Taking risks sometimes is the hardest thing to do, but they have the greatest rewards. And as difficult as this Oleksandr Usyk fight will be for Joe Joyce, there is still a way in which he can win it, because he has the physical advantages, he also has the experience as well to match someone like Usyk. That will be very important going into this fight. He's also shared the ring with him before in the World Boxing Series, so he will know how to gauge him, he will know how to put together a game plan to beat him. I mean, whether he's able to do that or not is another thing entirely, but this will be a great fight to watch to see it unfold. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.